Now, ABC 7 News at 5. On your side. We begin with a breaking news alert.
I just heard the whole building shake.
It's tragic. Like, that scene is like comparable to something in like Beirut.
Just look at the devastation. We have breaking news at this hour. A devastating scene after an explosion in Baltimore levels 3 homes. At least 1 person killed, 6 others were hurt. Skytrack 7 was over the scene of that neighborhood.
Yeah, just an awful scene there, John. Firefighters have been there for hours now, searching for any other people, any other possible survivors. The explosion happened this morning near Reisterstown Road in the northwest Baltimore area, about 2 miles from Pimlico Racecourse. ABC 7 Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell has been on the scene all day. Brad, what's the latest there?
Yeah, so this appears to be a gas explosion, and these 3 buildings have been destroyed. I want to tell you this story in very human terms. I just had a very tough conversation with the lady that's sitting on the curb and someone with her. That woman has a son who is in the hospital now, critically injured, and she doesn't know where her other son is. She is afraid that he may still be in the rubble. Fire officials telling us that the hunt continues. Her clothing in tatters, wrapped in a blanket, her hair peppered with dust and debris. This woman telling us she feels lucky to be alive, because just moments before, she had been pulled from the debris of her collapsed row home.
I thank everybody, because all of these people came from everywhere and they were actually digging us out. I fell from the top to the bottom and they were working to get me out.
It's something I never want to see again. Never want to see it again.
Antoinette Parrish was among those who heard and felt the deafening explosion and ran to help.
And to hear those people there yelling and saying, help me, I'm here.
Mobley Manning says he was driving by and was directly in front of the homes when they exploded. More than an hour later, he's still deeply affected.
It scared me. It scared me because I thought somebody was throwing a bomb at me.
Baltimore City fire officials say 1 woman was killed by what they believe was a natural gas explosion. At least 4 others were trapped and injured. Our camera's rolling as this woman is brought out to an ambulance just after her rescue.
Are you all right?
Moments later, a second survivor is brought out to cheers from onlookers. For firefighters, it is tedious work. The city fire chief describing digging a handful at a time to reach the trapped victims buried where their 3 homes had stood.
It was a major gas explosion, so you have homes that were, pretty much crumbled.
So back live, I'm going to tell you about this drama that's going on now. This lady with her back to us, she's got her phone. She's trying to reach her nephew. She says he's 20 years old. They're not sure if he was at the house last night, but he hasn't answered his phone all day, and they are terrified that he still may be inside the home. Fire department says they are going to look until they're absolutely sure that there is no one else in there. In Baltimore, Brad Bell, ABC 7 News.
Brad, thanks for the fire department's done such a great job with that. But this explosion in Baltimore comes 4 years after another devastating explosion in fire. This is a story I covered right here. The fire in the Flower Branch Apartments, it killed 7 people when that thing went up, and it hurt more than a dozen others. Since then, the Silver Spring neighborhood community is still recovering from this. ABC 7's Tom Rousey joining us live with more on that. And Tom, that's a night many will never get over.
And Jonathan, a lot of people really can't believe it's been 4 years since this happened. There's now 2 new apartment buildings that have been put up here at the Flower Branch Apartments where the explosion happened. We wanted to find out, are things really safer than they were, especially in light of what happened in Baltimore today?
4 years ago tonight, I heard this massive explosion in my house, which is about 5 blocks up the street.
Montgomery County Council member Tom Hucker will never forget that horrible night when 5 adults and 2 children died. 4 years to the day later, another deadly explosion, likely due to gas in Baltimore, shows the danger has not gone away.
We have to learn the lessons from this.
NTSB investigators found the cause likely involved gas building up from a leak of what's called a mercury regulator. Hucker says Washington
Washington Gas has pledged for years to get rid of mercury regulators, but he says it appears many are still operating and potentially endangering people.
They should not be going to bed tonight worrying about whether their apartment is going to blow up because Washington Gas hasn't removed their regulator. But that, as far as I know, that is still the case tonight.
A U.S. Department of Transportation search engine shows that since 2010, there have been 22 serious or significant incidents in areas covered by Washington Gas. Out of the 22, only 2 were fatal when the 7 people died at the Flower Branch Apartments and a 2011 explosion in Hyattsville that left 2 dead and 4 injured. Over the same 10-year period, Baltimore Gas and Electric saw fewer incidents, 14, happen in its territory. Until today, only 1 had been fatal. That one also in Baltimore when 1 person died in 2014. The most serious incident before today in BGE's territory was in Columbia last August when a shopping center exploded. It happened early on a Sunday, so no one was killed, but it did more than $5 million in damage.
Now back here in Silver Spring, we reached out to Washington Gas. They tell us they've done a lot of work here at the Flower Branch Apartments over the last 4 years to make things safer. They say they completed a big upgrade last fall to help things. We did follow up, though, with a question after our interview with Tom Hucker about what is the status of getting rid of all the mercury regulators. We're still awaiting a response at this point. Reporting live in Silver Spring, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
Tom, thanks for that. And ABC 7's coverage of today's explosion in Baltimore does continue for you at 6 o'clock. And as we learn any new developments, obviously we will bring them to you here on the air. Also on our website, we're updating continuously. The web address is WJLA.com. Michelle?
Covering D.C. now, John, and the search for shooters who opened fire at an unpermitted block party. A teenager was killed and 21 others, including an off-duty police officer, were hurt. Now, there are plenty of questions this evening about why that party in the Greenwood neighborhood was even being held during the pandemic. D.C. Bureau Chief Sam Ford is live for us with reaction from the neighborhood and city leaders. Sam?
Michelle, we are in, as you said, the Greenwood neighborhood, and you may recall Mayor Bowser's order is that crowds, because of the coronavirus, are limited to 50 people or less. But according to observers, this area here at 33rd and Du Bois had hundreds of people, maybe as many as 400 people who were here, and they said that nobody intervened, including the police who were observing.
A block party, a cookout, without a permit. How was that allowed without us even knowing?
Pauline Scott, a longtime resident of the Greenway community, was angry today that police allowed the weekend event with no permit to take place that resulted in 22 people being shot, including 17-year-old Christopher Brown, who was killed.
Speaking, I really don't understand how my child's life is just gone.
City officials today.
So we will take a look as to whether that could have been handled in a better way.
This came just weeks after ANC commissioners in Ward 8 complained that police allowed a pop-up party in Oxen Run Park, despite the mayor's orders on crowd size.
There's no enforcement. Plenty more pop-ups are going to occur. And we have a mayor's order out there, but yet we're failing to enforce it.
We asked the mayor.
What are you going to do this time to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Okay. Is it against the law to carry a weapon if you're 16 years old and shoot it at 3 people? Or at a group of a few hundred assembled? Is that against the law?
The block party's flyers, just days before the event, offered not just free food, but free liquor.
What was that 17-year-old doing down there with liquor being distributed? What was that being down there? We as a community need respect around here.
Police said that rival groups here had a shootout, were shooting at each other and hit 12 women, 9 men, and of course the 17-year-old boy who was killed here. The police say that the police officer who was here off duty. In her case, the chief said today that she is improving. He said her condition is improving, but he said she is not out of the woods yet. Reporting live from Southeast Washington, I'm Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
Sam, thank you. And this is the second mass shooting in D.C. in less than a month. On July 19th, 3 gunmen in a car opened fire in the Columbia Heights neighborhood around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The shooting killed 1 person and injured 8 others. Police say this was a targeted attack. Despite the pandemic, murders in the district are up. 7 on your side did some research and found that this time last year, 98 people had been killed in D.C. So far this year, 115 have been killed. That is a 17% increase. Despite that, police say violent crime and overall crime in the district is actually down.
Well, D.C. added travelers now from 5 states to a list of those who must self-quarantine if they're coming to the district for non-essential business. Alaska, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Minnesota now on the list, while Delaware, Ohio, and Washington have come off the list. Now, this is a list that's updated every 2 weeks. Virginia reported about 400 fewer cases than its 7-day average, but it is unclear what effect, if any, the weekend and tropical storm Isaias had on statewide reporting. And the percentage of Maryland residents testing positive for the virus is at 3.6%. And by the way, that's the lowest level since this pandemic got started. Now, you can download the free ABC7 app, and for instant updates on COVID-19, it'll be sent right to your phone.
Developing tonight, the Washington football team owner Dan Snyder has a new legal filing in his defamation suit against an online company. ABC7's Kelly Lynn got her hands on the documents just a few minutes ago. Kelly, what have you uncovered?
Well, Michelle, those documents are right here, and in them, Snyder's attorneys are asking for documents that they say former employee Mary Ellen Blair is in possession of. Snyder is suing the India website MEAWW. He claims that the site published false and defamatory claims against him ahead of a recent Washington Post article alleging sexual harassment in the front office of the Washington football team. Now, Snyder was not accused in that article. In the new filing, Snyder accuses Blair of knowing about the story in the website. The filing goes on to say, in part, quote, petitioner has ample reason to believe that Blair played a significant role in a deliberate and coordinated campaign in conjunction with third parties intended to defame and spread corrupt disinformation about petitioner. Snyder is seeking $10 million in damages from the website. We spoke with Blair by phone today just a short while ago, and she referred us to her attorney, who was not available for comment, but we will definitely be keeping you posted on this one, Jonathan.
All right, Kelly Lynn, thanks. Well, will they play or not? Coming up for us, new details about what could happen to this year's Big Ten college football season during this pandemic.
And tracking coronavirus cases, see what one county is doing to make sure it has enough contact tracers. Well, there is plenty of cleaning up in Chicago after a violent night of looting in the city's downtown shopping area. 13 officers are hurt and 100 people arrested. Police say the looting began after an officer-involved shooting in the city's south side.
This is just the latest unrest to sweep over the country. Sinclair National correspondent Christine Frizzau now brings us a closer look at that and how some are making it political.
In the nation's capital, a shooting at a block party left 20 people injured, half of them women, and at least one dead, a 17-year-old boy. In Chicago, more than 30 injured and 3 dead in a series of shootings. The violence spilling over into Chicago's famed Magnificent Mile. Many caught on camera looting.
Chicago police officers will not allow this selfish criminal act to destroy what generations of hard work have built.
Meanwhile, protests in Portland, Oregon escalated once again, with protesters setting fire inside a police union building, all giving fuel to President Trump's repeated calls for law and order.
We are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. I am your president of law and order.
While polls show the coronavirus and President Trump's response to it will be issue number 1 for most voters, the president and his supporters will work to keep law and order in the forefront, says political analyst Michael Cohen.
Republicans are looking at this and saying, look, this has gotten away from where it was in the beginning. This is actually now far more dangerous and actually more relevant to everyone's lives.
Top Trump administration officials are seizing on the opportunity to flip the script, connecting some of this violence to Antifa and the Black Lives Matter movement.
They are a revolutionary group that is interested in some form of socialism, communism. They're essentially Bolsheviks. Their tactics are fascistic.
Most protesters would disagree as they turned their calls to Washington for some sort of action to address a problem they say existed long before the death of George Floyd, with their vows to make reform an election issue as well.
I'm Christine Frizzell, ABC 7 News.
And Storm Watch 7 right now is tracking severe weather in the Midwest. It is a huge storm. A live look at the situation in Chicago right now as that storm is starting to make its way into the city.
That's right. ABC 7 Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly joining us live. And Bill, I was just stunned by this picture because a few minutes ago you showed us that image and the storms didn't pop just yet. Huge difference out there now.
Right. And it's amazing, between now and then, you couldn't see the city at all. As that system rolled through, you could literally not see a single building. It was raining that heavily, gusts to 62 miles per hour there, a huge storm, and we're tracking it. We may get some of that energy here locally tomorrow. We're watching it very closely. I don't expect it to be like that, but we'll get into the details in a moment. Out the door right now, 88 in D.C., got 91 in Chantilly, 87 in Gaithersburg, Manassas sitting at 91 degrees, 91 in Martinsburg. As we look here around the metro, we got these pop-up isolated showers. And within the last 30 minutes, actually within the last 15 minutes, we've seen this shower pop up right over Arlington. In fact, that's what it looks like on the radar. You see that it's putting down some rain. This is what it looks like from the Mandarin Oriental Hotel looking off to the east. So it is going to cool you off temporarily. And we're getting another one of these cells a little bit farther up to the north here around Chilliam and heading up to the north as well. You look at the overall big picture, there's another cell that has developed around Germantown, heading up Route 27 toward Damascus. This developed and it has dissipated, but the little green that you see around it, this is what's called outflow. It's relatively cool air encountering that warm air, and so it could very easily trigger a few more showers. But these storms bubble up and they die down. We are in the general thunderstorms risk from the Storm Prediction Center. We are not expecting severe weather, certainly not expecting widespread severe storms, but anytime we have thunderstorms, keep a very close eye on it for you. If that changes, of course, I have the National Weather Service chat up right there. I'll let you know right away if that occurs. In terms of the remainder of the evening, that shower, I say shower threat, but I'm going to view it as the opposite. I would love it if we had a shower here at my place. Love it. The temperature is going to cool down, get a little rain for the grass, although we don't need much rain. But the cool down would be nice. They're all going to die down after sunset. You will not have any showers around here, 11, midnight, anything like that. Tomorrow morning, we start out dry. We start out sunny. It is extremely humid during our day tomorrow, and tomorrow afternoon, a greater risk for some showers and storms. And this is because, in part, that energy that you just saw over there in Chicago, that's moving this way, not in a line of showers and storms. I don't expect that, but in the form of some lift and some unstable air that could trigger some showers and storms late day tomorrow and into tomorrow evening. So outside this evening, looking at, got a couple of light showers there around the D.C. metro. They're bubbling up and dying down. Isolated showers will be the rule. These are the numbers if you don't get them. If you do, your temperature could easily go from 90 down to 79 and then bounce right back up a little bit. Again, I would consider it luck of the draw. 76 degrees out the door tomorrow morning. Notice we warm up to about 90 again tomorrow. Some late day pop-up showers and storms. I don't have the icon on that hour by hour because they are going to be really kind of scattered around the region. Most of you will not have rain. Some of you will. Heavy rain, thunder, and lightning. Of course, lightning would be our biggest threat, and then that chance increases the later we get in the week. It's also going to have an impact on our temperatures, help us cool down a little bit. Guys, we'll send it back over to you.
Bill, thank you. A Saturday tradition could be on hold in College Park. Details next in sports.
Already a busy Monday in the sports world, especially in college football. It was announced that the Big Ten could decide as soon as tomorrow on the fate of the 2020 season. Many sources are saying the conference is expected to cancel the season due to coronavirus concerns. This decision would be an historic one. This has never been done before, but the presidents were in agreement on Sunday and a vote has been made. A day that many thought would never come, a possible halt to the college football season.
It's like a roller coaster. It looks like maybe they're heading in a good direction again, and then the MAC steps out.
According to reports, university presidents of Big Ten schools, including Maryland, met over the weekend and voted 12-2 that they did not want to play this season in the fall.
The Big Ten is trying to feel out whether or not those other Power 5 conferences are on board with postponing the season.
It seems it will start in the next 24 hours to 48 hours with the Big Ten and the Pac-12, and then you'll see what happens with the Big 12 and the ACC. One thing we know, the SEC will be the last one standing, and they'll do everything that they can, and obviously in order to try to play. And I mean, it's going to be crazy.
And the pressure to make the right decision is weighing in on college administrators.
Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick told me yesterday, look, if we are going to reverse course and cancel or postpone the season, we better be ready to have an explanation as to why.
Everybody wants college football, but how do you get there with the data that's coming in? And then logistically, how do you try to pull it off where people are going to test positive? It's just going to happen. And what do you do and how do you control that when they do test positive? I think that's the big hang up here, and the liability that I think is hanging over the head of all these decision makers.
Of a lot of unknowns for the Burgundy Gold. It happened again on Friday with Darius Geiss being released by the Washington football team. Geiss was arrested on domestic violence charges stemming from incidences earlier this year. Head coach Ron Rivera, who is truly changing the culture of this team, spoke about the situation with Geiss. We'll have more, of course, on that coming up in 6, but Rivera did say it was a very difficult decision.
Olivia, thank you. Still ahead for us, there are new details on that devastating house explosion in Baltimore. Look at that. We are hearing now from people who jumped into action to save their neighbors.
Still no deal between Congress and the White House on coronavirus relief, but the president's new executive orders may be complicating talks. I'm Atrell Nashar in Washington with where things stand.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 5, on your side.
Well, developing now, search teams continue to look through the rubble of what's left of 3 homes in Baltimore. These are the 3 homes. There's just nothing left, just debris. That's all that's out there, and a lot of places around them damaged as well. This was after a suspected gas explosion in the northwest part of the city. That explosion, we know, killed 1 woman and sent 6 other people to the hospital. Firefighters arrived within a matter of minutes, but it was neighbors who were there first to help. And that included one guy who said his elderly neighbor climbed out of the rubble and began looking for others.
We just jumped into action, moving bricks. We moved her out the way. We got this, moving bricks. Like, she was moving bricks, center blocks, pieces of the fence. I mean, it was glass. I mean, I stepped on glass. I had socks on. I didn't even have my shoes on.
They saved their neighbors. They did a really good job out there. Teams now, they're not using heavy equipment to remove the debris. That's just in case anyone else is trapped beneath. So they're digging by hand. We'll have another live update from Baltimore that's coming up for you at 6 o'clock. Michelle?
Well, right now, a live look at the Capitol, where there is some hope for a deal on coronavirus relief. Weeks of failed negotiations led President Trump to sign 4 executive orders, which are being questioned now by some in his very own party. National correspondent Atrell Nashar shows us what leaders say still needs to be done.
Millions of Americans in need of relief are watching Congress closely, waiting for a deal between Democratic leadership and the White House.
We want to come up with a strong plan.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, say White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin won't agree to their offer to spend $2 trillion instead of their original ask of $3 trillion.
You know what they said? Absolutely not. I said to them, you mean it's your way or the highway? And they said, yep.
Mnuchin, who is known for working well with Democrats, giving a more optimistic outlook.
I heard Pelosi over the weekend and Schumer, and I think they're willing to compromise.
Mnuchin says they're close to agreeing on how much to spend on food assistance, but they don't appear any closer to agreeing on funding for states and other issues not covered in the president's new executive orders. Orders the president says will lead to a bigger deal in Congress.
They're much more inclined to make a deal now than they would have been 2 days ago.
Some doubt the legitimacy of the executive orders. Republican Senator Ben Sasse says it's unconstitutional for the president to unilaterally declare a payroll tax holiday. Others question its value if Americans will eventually have to pay it back. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany defends the orders and blames any gridlock on Democrats.
What we are doing is entirely within the executive capacity of the president. The real solution, the holistic solution, rests with Congress and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer coming to the table.
McEnany says the White House will work around the clock, trying to get this relief to Americans soon. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
And relief is certainly needed because in Prince George's County, a sign that there is still a need for help in the community. Free groceries were handed out today in Greenbelt. The drive-through event was part of the county's Stand Up and Deliver program, which has been giving food to those hit hard by the pandemic.
Well, now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic. A live look at the White House. That's where President Trump is expected to give an update on COVID-19 at any minute. In fact, you can watch that update live on WJLA.com, our website. And D.C. has added travelers now from 5 states to a list of those that must self-quarantine if they come to the district for non-essential business. Those states include Alaska, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Minnesota, now on the list. Delaware, Ohio, and Washington have come off the list. This is a list that's updated every 2 weeks. And Virginia reported about 400 fewer cases than its 7-day average. Unclear what effect, if any, that the weekend and tropical storm Isaias had on statewide reporting. And the percentage of Maryland residents testing positive for the virus is at 3.6%. That, by the way, is the lowest level since the pandemic got started. And this just in now from the University of Maryland, the first 2 weeks of the fall semester for undergrads will take place online. At this point, in-person instruction is not going to start until September 14th. It is hoped that the additional time is going to allow for a greater drop in Prince George's County positivity rate. While the state's overall rate is a pandemic low 3.6, Prince George's County is at 5.4. Our coronavirus coverage does continue online. Just click on the coronavirus tab right there at the top of our homepage for updates on the virus in the DMV, as well as testing locations. The address is WJLA.com. Michelle?
Only on 7, Fairfax County Police are intensifying their efforts to solve dozens of cold cases. And they have a new website that could help them. It details dozens of unsolved murders dating back to the 1960s. One of the victims is 18-year-old Amy Baker. Her body was found in a wooded area in Springfield back in 1989. Police hope the website will inspire potential witnesses to these crimes to come forward.
I can sit here and be fine and be strong, and it just takes one thing. And everybody that's sitting here with me right now knows that. It takes one thing to get me off and put me back there.
Fairfax County Police say they're now investigating nearly 100 unsolved murders. To learn more and check out the details of some of these unsolved cases, we've posted the link in the story, which is under the local news section on WJLA.com.
Well, coming up for us, preparing for the school year with virtual learning, what parents can do to help create structure for their kids while keeping stress low.
And the new information just in showing just how long it could take one local county to recover from Isaias.
Welcome back, everyone. To get to the weekend here in just a moment. Got a couple of lone showers moving out of the district in Arlington County, heading very slowly to the northeast. No lightning and thunder with this. In fact, I'd consider yourself lucky if you're near one of these. Get a brief cool down, but notice a little bit of green. That's a little what's called outflow, so we could see a few more showers triggered out ahead of that. This is our live camera from Northwest D.C. looking at some of that. And if you look closely, you got the sunshine, and then you also have the raindrops. So it's one of those situations. You get some sun, get a little bit of mix of rain as well. Looking ahead, quick snapshot of the weekend. It's going to be a sticky one, a little bit cooler. Temperatures in the mid-80s, but scattered showers and storms are going to be around both days, Saturday and Sunday. They're not the only days. In fact, we'll walk you through your planner as we come back. And there's a lot of rain potentially this week. That and more in just a bit.
Your voice, your vote. It's shaping up to be a pivotal week in the race for the White House.
Yeah, speculation is growing over who Joe Biden is going to choose for his running mate. Andrew Dienbert now has more.
Presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden spent the weekend with family, narrowing down his choices for VP.
A new face will soon enter the race for 2020. Joe Biden edging closer to picking his running mate. All we know for certain is Biden will pick a woman as his vice president, and there have been growing pressures on him to choose a woman of color. Former foe, now frontrunner for the position, Kamala Harris, is poised to be a potential pick.
Obviously, I'd be honored to serve with Joe.
And one-time Obama-era National Security Advisor Susan Rice is also believed to be on the short list of candidates, as is former Iraq War vet and Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Who he feels most comfortable with,
who shares his values. And that's what he's always said, that he and Barack had.
Biden would be 78 years old if inaugurated in January, and his pick for VP could potentially be one of the most significant in modern American history. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Well, Amazon may make a surprising move where you could soon find the online retailer. That's coming up.
The fall semester is starting out differently than what many parents and students wanted. Most schools in the Washington metro region are going virtual, at least for now.
ABC 7's Victoria Sanchez spoke with a child psychiatrist about how to create school structure while curbing stress.
Just the thought of the upcoming virtual school year can spark anxiety for parents and guardians. But we don't have to have all the solutions or answers, says Dr. Asha Patton-Smith. It's actually better if we don't.
Parents are awesome life coaches, so we can't rescue our kids or make it all better. We have to deal with the realities of what we're all dealing with.
Patton-Smith is a child and adolescent psychiatrist with Kaiser Permanente and a mom herself. With just a few weeks left in summer, she says now is the time to get ready for distance learning.
Welcome to your middle grade.
Create a school space. It does not have to be a room with a door, and let kids decorate their new learning environment.
They customize it for however they get excited about school and they like to learn.
Socialization is still important for kids, even with 6 feet of distance, but don't overschedule.
I have some parents where they were very frustrated because they were scheduling Zoom parties and doing all this stuff and driving by and waving at friends or waiting outside and talking to them from, the appropriate physical distance. And the kid's like, I'm tired. I don't really need all that.
Even with a new learning environment, try to keep some things the same.
One thing we did this year was we did back to school clothes shopping. And instead of getting like the jeans and the normal stuff that you'd wear to school, you get more comfy clothes.
If your children are frustrated or disappointed this school year won't start the same, acknowledge those emotions and ask them what can help. Victoria Sanchez, ABC 7 News.
Well, the Naval Academy is taking the hybrid approach when it comes to learning this fall. Midshipmen will have a mix of in-person and online learning, and more than 4,000 will live in Bancroft Hall. That's the Academy's dormitory. Right now, a staggered return to the Academy is underway through September. Then coronavirus tests will be administered. West Point Military Academy in upstate New York is welcoming its incoming class of cadets, and it's promising to protect them from the pandemic. West Point is holding military training exercises with health precautions in place. The director of military instruction says the school has been able to complete 80% of its usual cadet instruction this term despite the pandemic. Well, we know you have plenty of questions and concerns about the new school year during the pandemic. That's why ABC 7 is on your side with a back-to-school town hall. Educators and public health experts will all answer your questions. So join us tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on WJLA 24/7 News, WJLA.com, and on our Facebook page. John?
Yeah, and this is not going to be your typical back-to-school shopping week. But if you do need supplies, then this would be the week to go out and do it without paying some sales tax in Maryland. Tax-free shopping week started yesterday. It'll continue right through to Saturday. There's a clothing allowance and $40 limit on backpacks. 7 is on your side with all the information you need to know. We put it on our website for you. It's WJLA.com. And looking ahead to the holidays, shipping your gifts could get more expensive. This is all thanks to the coronavirus. UPS says it will add surcharges for delivery on big items. The surcharge will cost between $1 and $4. The cost can also vary depending on whether delivery is via ground or in the air. And Amazon may be coming to a mall near you. The company has had talks with Simon Property Group about converting some empty mall spaces into fulfillment centers. The Wall Street Journal reports that the talks started before the pandemic ever got started. Simon, by the way, is the biggest mall owner in the United States. Locally, it owns Pentagon City and Arundel Mills. And the pandemic has slammed most retailers very hard. Amazon's profits, though, have doubled.
Covering Metro, more hours will be added to rail service starting this weekend. During the pandemic, Metro rail service has been closing down at 9 p.m., but starting August 16th, which is this Sunday. Metro Rail will run until 11 p.m. During peak times, trains will arrive on average every 10 minutes and at least every 15 minutes during non-peak times. Bus service will also expand, running until midnight. And Metro is ahead of schedule on its summer shutdown work. 9 stations on the Orange and Silver lines in Virginia have been closed since late May. Well, Metro says the entire Silver line and the West Falls Church station should open by August 16th. The other Orange line stations should reopen by Labor Day, possibly even earlier.
Okay, so this is considered the best meteor shower of the summer, and it is peaking this week. You can watch the Perseid. It is a meteor shower tonight through Friday. Look at the stars up there. It's beautiful. You're going to get the best view, though, between midnight and dawn, as long as there's no clouds in the way. You may see 15 to 25 meteors an hour. But the sky does, again, need to be clean. Take a look at the northeast sky. You'll have the best view if you are away from the city lights. And I know, Bill Kelly, you talk about this every year. You want to get out there and see some of these meteors, because it doesn't take long if you really focus on a good spot where you see a lot of stars.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the key is, like you guys are just talking about, no clouds, right? You want that, and you want to have dark sky. So are you guys going to go out and check it out?
Oh, yeah.
So will we have it?
Michelle never misses it. Every year she's out watching this thing.
That's right.
If I can see something, yeah, I'll be looking up.
Yeah, you host the parties, but not this year, so we're not going to be able to do it because we're quarantining. But hey, that's all right. So yeah, I think we'll have plenty of time to see that this week in terms of the clear skies. Probably tonight would be the best night. Then we have more showers as we get into the coming days. All right, so let me show you what's going on. I want to advance these maps and talk about what is happening in our region. Right now, we have the temperatures that are into the 90s. We have 90 degrees in Frederick right now. That's at Crestwood Elementary School. Ashburn at 93, Beltsville at 91, Woodbridge is sitting at 90 degrees right now. And when we look here at our radar, we do have a few showers that have rolled through the area. Now, I consider you lucky if you're underneath one of these showers, because they're not producing much in the way of lightning, if any. It's going to briefly cool you down. And we have what's called some outflow with this. And so as I show you this is what it looks like from our northwest tower camera. And you see the rain coming down. It's beautiful. Another beautiful view here from our Mandarin Oriental camera shows you that there's sunshine, but then you got the showers there beyond Rosalind. But here's what I was talking about. So you get this outflow, and basically when it rains, that air is significantly cooler than the air around it. And so it's heavier, and it rolls out ahead of these showers. And that's what you're seeing right here, this green line. That's some outflow. Oftentimes, that can help trigger some more showers. So I'm going to track the outflow, and this is not when the storms are going to hit you. This is the best time for you to possibly expect some showers as that line of cooler air. If nothing else, a little bit of some breeze and some cooler air. So Hernan, this would be right around 6:30 or so. Rockville, right around 6 o'clock. Potomac Falls, closer to 7. So we'll be watching that very closely. There's another cell that developed here just north of Gainesville, heading north, heading up toward Aldi, back over to Middleburg. You guys may get a little bit of that as well. And into southern Prince George's County over Brandywine, you have a lone shower that's building and dissipating, building and dissipating. Very quiet, relatively speaking, relative to what is going on in the Midwest. Look at this line of storms. This is a major storm system that is now rolled through Chicago. It's pushing closer to South Bend, Lafayette, heading toward the Indianapolis area, and this is where all the severe thunderstorm warnings are. I'm watching this one very, very closely. It is a derecho. And by the way, a lot of you will ask, you know, is a storm a derecho, thinking that it is a bigger storm? That's not necessarily the case. What makes it a derecho is it has to have severe winds along its leading edge continually. So that's 58 miles per hour or greater. This does, and then some. It's had history of 70 to 100 mile per hour winds, 62 mile per hour gust officially at O'Hare. It was 62 at Midway as well. I was looking at those. But the key to a derecho is it has to travel at least 250 miles or more, at least 250, or of course it can go more, with those parameters along its leading edge. It has already done that, so it is officially that. And I don't see much in the way of signs of it slowing down. And it's moving off to the east, generally to the southeast a little bit. And right now, it is 530 miles away from the D.C. metro. It is not looking like it is going to affect us here. But Mother Nature will do what she wants to do. And let's just say in theory, it holds together and it does not die down. Traveling at about 60 miles per hour, that would put it here in roughly 9 hours. So we could possibly, it's an outside chance, but possibly be talking about something on ABC 7 News at 11 o'clock tonight. I don't think so. In fact, Storm Prediction Center doesn't think so either. In fact, they end those risk areas until they get into Virginia, and then it's just the general risk. However, there's going to be an update on this at 9 o'clock tonight or sooner, if need be, and I will certainly let you know if that changes. Otherwise, our storm risk tonight, those showers will die down tomorrow. Same thing, some afternoon and evening pop-up showers and thunderstorms. We'll keep a very close eye on that severe weather system that has now moved through Chicago, heading toward Indianapolis and then eventually Cincinnati, Columbus, Ohio, places like that, up to Detroit. Temperatures in the 90s next couple of days, into the 80s the end of this week. I was talking about rain every single day through the entire forecast, guys. Has the chance, if not likelihood of rain, especially Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Hateful vandalism at a local high school coming up at 6. Now, the new message of love.
And ABC7's live coverage of the explosion in Baltimore does continue at 6 o'clock. We just got new video into the newsroom that was shot on the ground immediately after those 3 row homes absolutely exploded. We're working to bring you that straight ahead at 6 o'clock.
And health experts say contact tracers are key to curbing coronavirus. Up next, what one local county is doing to make sure they have enough of these essential workers.
And 7 on your side, partnering with Volunteers of America for Operation Backpack. We're helping local children get the school supplies they need to get ready for this year, even though it's virtual. You can help by visiting WJLA.com/backpack if you'd like to donate money to help buy laptops for distance learning, or you can buy school supplies on our online store. We're back after this. We have some breaking news right now, and it has to do with what's happening at the White House. A few moments ago, the president came out for his daily or weekly coronavirus update. He took the podium. He was there not very long at all, a minute, maybe 2. And his Secret Service detail escorted him behind that blue door that's opening on the left side and whisked him away. Now we understand, according to CNN, that the White House is in lockdown. We don't know why. We've not heard of any threats. But there's another picture we're monitoring where it shows the outside of the White House and the Secret Service walking around with weapons drawn. There's one guy right there holding an M4. He's been just walking around the hedge line over by the fence. This is looking through the window, and this is zoomed way out so you can see him. Now he's behind the tree. But a second ago, in the foreground, another Secret Service officer with his M4 was walking around the outside of the White House as well. We don't know what's happening. We're trying to get to the bottom of this. As soon as we do, we'll let you know what's happening. Moving on now, Fairfax County is assembling the biggest contact tracing team in the Commonwealth. Contact tracing is one of the most successful ways to contain the virus as Americans look to return to school and to work. ABC7 Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Tim Barber takes us inside this growing program.
At the Fairfax County Health Department,
we're in a total time game here.
Barbara Downs oversees 160 contact tracers and counting who are racing to contain COVID-19.
Even returning to school, returning to work, returning to our normal activities, right? We need to contain COVID, and we know that one of the most successful methodologies is contact tracing.
Virginia wants 2,000 contact tracers and is launching a new COVID-wise app to gather information from patients. The goal in Fairfax County is to create a team of more than 400 people who will be working to contain the disease by calling affected people, gathering information about who they've been in contact with, and connecting them with resources.
Somebody who might be hesitant to hand over this information, what kind of reassurances would you give them?
So our investigations and discussions with individuals that are close contact are 100% confidential. So we're not sharing any of your information.
The interviewers will ask for date of birth, address, race, and ethnicity. They will not ask for your social security number, immigration status, or financial information.
Every link is really important to figure out if that person was exposed, where they were exposed, and then providing that education so they know if you were exposed that you need to go home and self-quarantine for 14 days.
Reporting from Fairfax County, Tim Barber, ABC7 News.